Afternoon. My name is Stuart Thompson. Welcome to Personal Transformation. Today we have a wonderful program in place here for you guys. Today we're going to be talking about STEAR, and I'll elaborate more of that in a moment. Or actually, I'll have our guest elaborate on that in another minute. But today it's going to be awesome. So without further ado, I have Brad, Paula, and Maria on my side here. So please introduce yourselves before we get going here. Brad.
Hello, everybody. My name is Brad, and I'm a co-creator of STEAR, which we're going to get into with Maria and Paula. I'm a long-term martial artist, 25 years, former executive director of the Gatehouse, which is the position Maria now holds, and an author. So I'll just throw it over, and we'll get into it to Maria and Paula.
Paula. Thank you, Brad.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Stuart. Hi, everyone. My name is Paula. I work at a wonderful charity called the Gatehouse Child Abuse Investigation and Support Site, and I'm also the co-founder, and I work with my wonderful, lovely colleague Maria of M&P Psychotherapy and Consulting Services. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Stuart. Hello, everyone. My name is Maria. I'm the Executive Director of the Gatehouse and also co-founder of M&P Psychotherapy and Consulting Services, as Paula mentioned. So I'm looking forward to this discussion today.
Thank you. And anybody listening, I have posted the website, the Amanda Therapy, on there as well. So we'll plug it along the way. So I guess we'll just get right started. What does STEAR stand for?
Okay, STEAR is it's a proper alignment of our lives. If our lives are successful, STEAR is in alignment, and the S stands for spirit, which in our program we say that's 5 longings. The T is thinking, which is our way of thinking, our paradigms that guide and direct our lives. Emotions are fuel. They're fuel for our spiritual longings, our thinking patterns to guide our actions, which is the A, into the world. And our actions or our conduct is really guided by 2 things, fear or love. And most of us, or I would say all of us on the planet, have kind of a mix between those 2. We either move from love or we move from fear. And the idea in STEAR is to diminish the amount of time we move from fear and enhance the amount of time we move from love. And the R stands for reality. How do we see the world? Is it auspicious? Which means, is it favorable for success? Do we believe that we are going to succeed in the world? Or do we see it as being inauspicious? Blocking the reality that we see. There's a beautiful line in the Course in Miracles that sums it all up. And it says, the world is an outward projection of an inward condition. So if we're not liking what we see in the world, we have to look at the conditions that's creating those results. And that's what we explore in our program.
Awesome. Thank you, Brad. You want to add anything else to that, Paula?
Just thank you, Stuart, and thank you so much, Brad, for sharing your valued insights. For me, it's such a great honor to be here and to work with all of you and to, have, everything that we've gone throughout this process. Maria, Brad, myself, to create this for the world is such a beautiful and transformative process in and that of itself. And for me, STEAR is about helping individuals transform like unhealthy core beliefs into more positive ones to help them, transform their lives, because essentially everything starts with a thought. So if you have positive, healthy thoughts, you create positive, healthy chemicals, which then one thing leads to the next. And as Brad beautifully and perfectly said, that, our thinking affects our emotional states, which then influence our behaviors, which ultimately help to shape and form our realities and our experiences around us. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. Tell us more about the workshop. Would you mind, both of you? All the twists and turns that are involved?
For sure. I know Brad's going to talk about the Four Noble Truths a little bit and how it all unfolded. I just want to add to the point about unhealthy beliefs or what are the core beliefs is something that oftentimes people do not have an opportunity to explore or pay attention to or spend time with. We are in reactionary modes. We are reacting to whatever is happening in our environment, for example, and we at the Gatehouse, we help people who are traumatized by childhood sexual abuse specifically, right? So we've internalized a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, a lot of the unhealthy feelings, or as Brad talks about in the workshop, these lower level emotions. We'll have an opportunity to explore those. What are those for the persons that are attending the workshop? And how to transform, how our language transforms these thoughts, feelings, and actions that we take, and how we even relate to ourselves. How do we relate to ourselves is going to be explored in the workshop. It's going to take place over 4 Saturdays, and maybe Paula can elaborate a little bit more on how people like how many hours, what dates for everyone.
For sure. Thank you, Maria. So the start date is Saturday, April 17th, and it runs for, as Maria excellently said, for 4-week period. It's 4 weeks in length, Saturday, April 17th until May 8th, and it takes place online only, and it's from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you. And yeah, Brad, would you like to add anything in terms of like the dates and all that? Thank you.
Basically, the program is based on 4 assumptions, which we call the Four Noble Truths. And assumptions are things that we all have that lead to our thinking patterns. For instance, we assume if we get an education, diploma, a degree, or a PhD, whatever, then that's going to lead us to some kind of success in our life. We assume that if we eat healthy foods, we're going to be healthier. This program is based on 4 assumptions, and they are: the first one is that your life is supposed to feel good to you. The second one is that joy and happiness are natural parts of the human experience. If you're not feeling joyful and happy most of the time, then something unnatural has happened to affect that. The third assumption is that we're already pre-programmed to meet our potential. There's like a compass inside of us that's always directing and redirecting us towards things that will fulfill our purpose on the planet. We're always being, no matter where we are, no matter how far we think we've fallen down or how high up we think we are, there's this natural compass in us that's guiding us towards our most perfect life. And the fourth truth is that there's going to be interference to the first 3 truths. If the interference becomes so overwhelming, which it has for so many people in the world today, then we lose sight of that life is supposed to feel good. And so we live in a world where life feels miserable, and it's become habitual that it's that way. However, there's a part of us that we all feel that is in opposition to that, and that's our spirit. Our spirit is just longing to be free through us, and it can do that in a million different ways. But if we think that life, of our assumption that life is supposed to not feel good, then those first three truths will be clouded over. Our goal in this program is just to create a little window into those first 3 truths, because when you do that, a little bit of a window can go a long way to turning your life into something that you feel proud to be part of.
Awesome. Thank you, Brad. You know, in the 4 noble truths, you know, you mentioned about spiritual longings. And I know that when I went to the Gatehouse and I was trying to figure out where I was and where I'm at, I know that one of my biggest things was that exact statement. Where do I sit spiritually with myself? And where does it go from there? So how, and when I talk about where to go from there, how does it affect me? And if I do choose a so-called spiritual path, if I'm understanding you correctly, then how's that going to help me along the way for finding that clarity? Does that?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And for the first part of that is that we're all on a spiritual path. We have 2 points of perspective. We have a perspective of a human perspective, which gets clouded up with the interference, and we have a spiritual perspective. We all know it's there. It's the abstract insights that are always being thrown toward us. It's in your case, for instance, or for anybody that steps into the gatehouse, it's because it's spiritual. Something has come to their attention that says, I need to deal with this problem that happened to me in childhood. And the gatehouse comes up and it helps you along that spiritual path to clear away some of the interference that's blocking your life path. And as we've seen, honestly, Stuart, look at you and all that you're doing in the world right now after going through that journey. And we've seen it over and over again at the gatehouse that once people start to deal with what's happened to them in childhood, the creative energy coming from underneath that is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, Brad. You know, spirituality, like I hear people struggle with that in many different sorts. It doesn't help that you've got all these different religions, and some people have trouble trying to figure out, well, what's my spiritual path? Like, where should I go? You know, especially when they're confused. And I often, people, I know having this conversation, I would always never obviously tell anybody what to do, but I would always suggest, well, what does your heart tell you? What does your soul feel? Yes, I mean, you can pray and do to whoever you want. That's primarily your choice, but what are you going to get out of it in the end? How is that going to make you feel? And where is that going to bring you moving forward? So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Did you want to add anything else to that, Paula or Maria?
Yeah, for sure, Stuart. Thank you. And thank you for sharing your valued wisdom with us, Brad. Much appreciated. So I just wanted to give everyone the registration link, and Maria will kindly put it up on screen. For anyone who's interested in registering for our wonderful 4-week mindfulness and meditation-based program, you can visit www.m like Maria and P like Paula psychotherapy.com/services. Again, the website is www.mnpsychotherapy.com/services. And there is a $200 cost, and we hope to see you all at STEAR. It's going to be amazing. You know, there's going to be a lot of like transformational discussions, a lot of self-reflective activities. We have, this program is so exciting. We created it for you and for everyone on this planet with a lot of love, a lot of heart, as Stuart brilliantly mentioned, because we also believe, we're firm believers of, living a life with an open heart and with love. So we created that under that foundation. So we hope to see you all at STEAR, and we're so excited, to have created this wonderful program for you. So thank you. And thank you so much, everyone, for being here with us. And also Stuart for taking your valued time to sit with us and to share with the world about our brilliant and transformational program. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So who would benefit from this? It's just that simple. Who would benefit from doing this program?
Really anyone who's looking to self-explore, reconnect with self, looking to transform their lives and feeling maybe a bit stuck. Anyone who wants to self-develop their mindset to see where they're at would be helped by this process. It gives opportunities for people to connect not only with self, but with others, because it is a group workshop. So, and it is mixed, or all genders, identities are welcome to join in the sessions. And we're going to be talking about, again, these different aspects of our life, our spiritual path, the one that we just mentioned a few minutes ago, Stuart. Spirituality, to me, it's not only religion. Religion is one aspect for many people, right? And actually, we're in a very holy week for Catholics this week. Easter weekend is coming up. We acknowledge that. And also for our Jewish friends, I believe Passover is also something that is being celebrated. So in looking at that, so spirituality, religion is one aspect. The other aspect of spirituality is connection to self, connection to others, connection to nature. Connection or feeling a part of the universe is another aspect of it. Yoga, for example, is a very spiritual practice. It puts us in our bodies. It puts us grounded and connected to the earth in different stances or poses. So really, spirituality is what it is for you, and it will be explored in that way in the workshop. What does it mean for you? What spiritual practices do you have? And even like people who are atheists, for example, who don't believe in a higher power, that's their belief, that's their spiritual practice, right? So we honor that as well. Just wanted to put that out there because oftentimes when we talk about spirit or spirituality, a lot of times religion is associated with the first thought, right? And it means so much more to that, and it's very individual belief as well.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Now, we talked about the Four Noble Truths. Now, I don't expect you to give away the farm part of the way I put this, but can you talk a little bit more about some of the other things you're going to be talking about? Again, like I say, you don't have to give it all away because this is part of the 4-week program, but can you talk a little bit about some of the segments of the things you might be touching base on in regards to individuals, themselves?
For sure. Maybe Brad, if you want to give a little sneak peek of the 6-fold path, that would be amazing.
Yeah, sure. So I'll try to be as brief as I can, and try to, by the end of this, if people can't sign up for whatever reason, that you have something really positive to take away from today. I think first of all, it's how did this develop for me? It developed the day one when I stepped into a martial arts Shaolin Kung Fu club 25 years ago. I was at a very low point in my life. I was wondering where my future was going, my past. Certainly, I didn't want to reflect on my past. I wanted something different, and I didn't realize it at the time. But I've been walking a 6-fold path since then, and it's brought a lot of wonderful things into my life, including a beautiful family, a career that was fulfilling my purpose on the planet. I felt deeply connected, and it was almost taken away from me again in 2016 when I developed stage 4 throat cancer. And it was really a bookend cancer from the radiation I received from a childhood cancer I had when I was 15 years old. And this 6-fold path brought me back into the world. And I was so thankful that I did it, that I had taken this path along my journey. And it starts with a fundamental belief of the assumptions that life is supposed to feel good. Of course, when they're taking out my throat and doing all of this operation on me, rebuilding it with other parts of my body, life didn't feel very good then. However, the path I took up to that time taught me that life is a continuation of ebb and flow. And if we allow life to flow through us, then the body will heal. Emotional healing takes longer, but that will also heal, and your life will be guided back onto a path that feels connected. As Maria said, you feel connected to the universe, you feel connected to people, and interference feels less intrusive in your life. And the first step of that is receptivity. Receptivity is a two-way window. It looks at the world, like we said, the outward condition, the outward projection of an inward condition. Is what I'm seeing in the world favorable for success? Do I see the world as being friendly? If I don't, I need to be receptive to the inward condition that's projecting that. So we look at it. if we want to get past the pain and suffering in our life, we need to look into it to see beyond it. See, many of us, and I did this for a long time after my first cancer experience, tried to run away from that part of my life, leave it behind. We see it at the gatehouse all the time, where people come in their late 30s, early 40s, and they realize they can't run away from that trauma forever, that it has a way of catching up. And when we look at it, we can see past it. That's one part of receptivity, which is the first of these steps. And another part of receptivity is being receptive to the insights that come up. We all have them. We all have inspiration to, it could be anything. It could be to be a writer. It could be to go back and get that education that we didn't think we could have got it, to apply for that job, to ask that person out on a date that we feel afraid of. We have all of these ideas that come up all the time. However, if we're living in a low emotional resonance, we talk a lot about that, where fear is directing our thoughts, those inspirations will be clouded and overwhelmed by emotions that say, you can't do this, you're not worthy, you're not good enough. And those are all false projections of a self that's connected to spirit that is already pre-programmed to meet your potential. So we need to look at those emotions again to see beyond them. We need to work with them. We need to understand which ones are driving us forward toward our goals or holding us back. So there's a lot in receptivity. That's the number one step, is receptivity. And just one more statement on that before I pause and let you get back to questions, or Paul and Maria want to answer. Receptivity is a non-judgmental awareness. It just looks at the world and judges it not. It looks and wait, it's patient. So if those ideas are coming up, like writing a book or public speaking or things that normally scare you, there's actually no fear in receptivity, because ideas that come up they need to come up, surface, and start to build on themselves. But we often shut them down too fast with emotions that say you can't do that. And the next step along that is following. I won't get too much into that right now.
Could I ask you one question? Sorry to cut you off, Brad, but
Sure.
can I ask you one question directly right to what you're saying? Now, when you say, when we feel that moment when we cut ourselves off, I guess there's another question to the question where you'll add on to that. How will you talk about changing that? Or rather, will you be talking about making those changes so you can go back on track? I guess is kind of what I'm asking you. I'm sorry to interrupt you again.
No,
Right.
That's okay. I tend to ramble. Always interrupt me. I could go on. That's the thing about receptivity. It is the discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Stop yourself from shutting down that idea. You just let those ideas surface, and there's certain practices and stuff we'll introduce in the program. So, for instance, you say, I really want to write a book, and then following that is, oh, I want to write a novel. I want to write a best-selling novel. I want to be, and that could lead to all kinds of different things. In receptivity, you want to let those things surface. The challenge with that is we got to go back to the root of why we don't. And oftentimes, I know it was in my case, in school, if you're an imaginative person, which is where receptivity really flows, then you're called a daydreamer. Get back to work, get back to telling you what you're supposed to do. Maybe your grades in school weren't that great because nobody showed you how to take those big dreams and bring them down into small action items. Then you were probably chastised in some way or shape or form for drifting during class. Well, we want to bring that back into our experience. Not all day, every day, but we want to set time aside every day just to let ourselves dream a little bit. And that's a big part of the next following steps. That could be transformational in your life.
Thank you, Brad. Maria, Paula?
Ditto.
Brad just has this beautiful, magnificent way of just putting things in such a beautiful way of like open heart and truth. And like Brad beautifully said about, the 4 noble truths, the 5 longings, or 6 noble truths, things like that. It's so important. And, we just look at life like, like what Brad beautifully and eloquently says about it's like a bubble that's at the bottom of the ocean. What does it have a tendency to do? It has a tendency to rise, right? So as it rises, it expands. So very much like that bubble, we are like that bubble because we're trying to find our noble truths as people on this planet, and our longings. Like Brad beautifully says, we all want to be loved, and we created this program with love, a lot of love for the communities around us. And as Maria beautifully said too, it's very inclusive. It's STEAR is literally for everyone. So it's if you're not able to come to the program for whatever reason, and you can take something out of even today, even just take this moment even right now to just pause and reflect and find the meaning for yourselves. Like all life has meaning. Your life matters. All lives matter. And everyone has, capacity. And we look at people with capacity from that framework and that standpoint. So would you, what this is an offering. It's an invitational offering to invite you all watching even here today to come and join us and help rise your bubble from the bottom of the ocean into the sky and out into the universe where it belongs, where it came from. Essentially, we're all connected as people, everyone. And we wholeheartedly believe that. This program was created with lots of love and good energy. And that's what we want to foster into this planet. Because as Brad and the Buddhist philosophy says so beautifully, that, if we want to bring more peace or we want to see more peace into the world, we need to be more peaceful ourselves. So we created this program with love and kindness because that's what we want to see in the world, love and kindness. So come and join us. And also for anyone who's interested in finding out more about our wonderful and esteemed colleague, Brad, you can visit his website at www.stepintothecreative.com. And Maria put it up on screen. Thank you, Maria. Thank you so much, Stuart. Thank you, Brad, Maria. It has been such a great pleasure and great honor to serve humanity alongside all of you. And, for me, this is meaningful. So bring your insights, everyone. Come and join us and bring your wisdom because we're all here to learn from each other. And after all, we are all connected. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Ditto.
Ditto.
Yeah, no,
I love working with both yourself and Brad and Paula, of course. And I'm really excited about what this workshop means for us. As Brad was talking about, being creative and maybe having aspirations to write a book as an example. We had aspirations a few years ago to be psychotherapists, to open our own practice, and that was realized earlier this year. So it's never too late to change something in your life that isn't helpful anymore. We acknowledge how it helped us to survive, whatever the belief was or whatever the thought was. It got us to where we are, but it is no longer serving us, and that's something that we explore in the workshop. How are these different areas of your life serving you? Which ones are helpful? Which ones are not? And how do we move forward from the ones that are not? Acknowledging them first, and then moving forward with different thoughts, feelings, and behaviors.
You'd be amazed, everyone, all the wonderful and transformational things you can achieve on this planet if you stand out of your own way.
Thank you, Paula and Maria. In the after this is all said and done in the 4 weeks, now would there be like a follow-up so that people want to ask questions or they want to come back and may need some help on something? Will you be available for that?
Well, what this is about expanding our community, and of course we'll be available to help people along their path. This is a program, however, of insight and developing insight and personal transformation, so that the transformation will be personal and will likely take some time. This program is based on a foundational belief of a Kaizen philosophy of transformation. We did not get to this place in our life overnight. Your transformation is going to go through various stages. And the Kaizen philosophy basically says small incremental change consistently over time brings big changes in your life. And it's similar to compound interest. You put a little bit away, you don't notice it so much every day. You put a little bit away, and over time, this whole big bank account starts to build up. And that's the idea here. Radical shifts in behavior and thinking don't work for most people. They don't work, and the weight loss industry is a perfect example of that, where companies promise so much weight loss really, really quickly, knowing that historically is that when you lose weight that quickly, it tends to show up again later because the habit of building a lifestyle based on that makes you feel good. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens in small moments. We talk about that in conduct, which is one of the steps. That um, small acts of generosity, small acts of kindness, small acts of compassion add up in big ways over time. It's not just, I'm going to do something really good on Sunday, and then for the rest of the week, I'm just going to go back to old habits. That's not going to bring lasting transformation. We want to start changing things slowly. So, yes, we will be available. We have the gatehouse is connected. Maria and Paul have a business if there's further work that needs to be done in that. But you will be able, after this program, to see where you are in your path. You'll be receptive to the idea of, oh, I'm not, yeah, I see what I'm doing without judgment, and say, okay, I'm here, I'm now, I'm going to do something today that makes my life feel better to me. And that, if you take anything away from this today, take that away. I want to be conscious of doing something kind today, doing something compassionate today, doing something that makes me feel better today, even if it's in a very small way. It's part of the philosophy. Now we're going to take you through all 6 steps, and you'll have a roadmap really for the rest of your life. I've been living these 6 steps for 25 years, and they brought me through a lot of joy and happiness, trauma, all kinds of different things. And we want that emotional energy to be rising when you get down into despair, which happens because the world, there's a lot of interference, that there's a natural pull up in your emotions, and your conduct will follow that. My life is supposed to feel good, and it doesn't right now. I need to do something. And an act of kindness, compassion, generosity will always make you feel better. That's our promise.
Thank you, Brad. So one more really big question, so people understand, is this is not specifically so anybody who's been through any kind of trauma can come and do this. Is how it's going to work. Is that right? It doesn't have to be specifically a trauma. People who've been through childhood sexual abuse. It can be any type of trauma, right?
Yeah, then it doesn't. Everybody's been through some kind of trauma.
Yeah.
So let me maybe give you a little bit of a history on why Paul and Maria and I wanted to put this together. After my operation in 2016, I was basically a year at a commission. Much of that year I couldn't speak. I had a doctor tell me that you'll never stand up and speak publicly again. So I was in a very, very low moment. Then after that year passed, I finally got an implant for it so I could speak. And I went back to the gatehouse part-time. Stuart, you and I very first stood in front of people with Stuart doing a suicide intervention program. And I felt so comfortable to have my brother there watching out for me, having my back. And then that started as an upward moment. My emotions were down low, but there was an upward pull, and I had to be patient because my body still wasn't healed. My emotions are still healing even after 5 years. Then I was invited to college and university settings, and I presented the um, the four the Four Noble Truths, the five spiritual longings, and the sixfold step in a very in a lecture type of environment. And the feedback coming back was profound in terms of students and even the professors were looking at their lives just a little bit differently. And when you look at your life, when you shift your paradigms, even just a little bit, a whole new avenue opens up of possibilities. So that's kind of where this came from. Paula and I did this program in community organizations that work with children in care, that work with people that are looking for work, that where the underlying traumas were stopping them from being able to be gainfully employed. For people that have been in prison, I've worked with um, the John Howard Societies, Elizabeth Fry, bringing these principles and practices for people that's lives have gone off their sacred path, is what we call it, and need some help to get back on. So it's really for anybody that feels stuck, anybody that feels like their trauma is just too big to be moving forward in any positive way. So that's where the program has been very successful, working in those areas. So like that, it's helpful.
That's awesome. Thank you, Brad. Marie and Paul, any other thoughts?
I think Paula was just super inspired by what Brad was sharing. And that year was very difficult for us too, Brad, emotionally not having you with us at the house. And we were constantly thinking about you and sending good energy. I remember we put together that the dragon, I called it the dragon box because Paula ended up, I think she drew or printed a dragon on the box, and we had everyone just put messages of healing and hope and resilience and who is Brad to us. And so many messages came flooding in, and I was like, oh, this is amazing, right? We want to shift the focus to how can we respond in a way that's empowering to Brad, that is empowering to everyone in the community, that lets Brad know that we're there with them, even though we're not physically with them at that most difficult point in your life. And you came back from that stronger, more present, more alive. It sounds kind of like strange in a way, like counterintuitive, like how could that be such an awakening experience? It often happens for people who go through these critically life-changing events, right? And you are such a motivational and inspirational speaker, Brad. You have helped transform the lives of so many people out there. They learn a lot from your experience and your wisdom and your authentic sharing of who you are with the world. You give that gift to people every time you step on that stage. And I think that's what inspired so many of the students at Humber to continue to pursue, because I know that when you went to speak to them, they were in this very stressful time. It was near exam time, and they're all like scrambling to get things done. Or I think it was like toward the end of the semester, which is really difficult for students. And I'm sure all students out there be like, yeah, you're talking to me. And you walk in there with your story and you inspire, and they're motivated. They're ready to face whatever obstacles are coming their way. Their deadlines are being met, and they have a renewed sense of self, and their spirit, their creative energy was renewed the moment you stepped into that classroom and shared your story. So thank you for doing that, Brad. I want to highly underline that, highlighted, bold, blow it up, because it really is something that needs to be highlighted out there as well.
Yeah, like you're such a profound teacher and a lot of like wisdom, Brad, and anyone who, has the great honor and privilege to be in your presence is truly a gift. Just being here today is an absolute gift, just to hear and all the wonder that's coming out of even today. It's so beautiful and transformative. And so thank you so much for helping us to create this program and being a part of it. Thank you, Maria, for being here with us. And also like, I just wanted to acknowledge something like in the beginning of this, because I'm not used to like public speaking online, even live and stuff. So I'm just like, okay, let me find my anchor, like as Brad beautifully says, and as you taught me, Brad, so I have my coffee cup with me 24/7 as an anchor. It's like, we all go through, as Brad and Maria beautifully said, and, and thank you, Maria, too, because you helped to create this program as well. It's so beautifully. And thank you, Stuart, as well, like from the bottom of my heart for, being, your willingness to even do this and help us to promote such an awesome and life transformational program and life affirming program, and in that of itself as well. And it's such a beautiful process, the things that, all of these beautiful things and good energies that we're putting onto the planet that can truly help save and transform people's lives. And that's truly what it is. It's that shift that Brad beautifully and excellently talked about, and we all can experience that shift in our lives, and everyone has capacity. You have capacity. You just need to be in that place to realize how much capacity you have exactly within you, your inner light, your shining wisdom that you bring. Everyone has a unique gift that they have to offer this planet that no one else has. And that's what we choose to focus on, because that's what truly matters. So we want to be more peaceful. We want to see more love. So bring your inner peace. Bring your wisdom. We welcome it. We welcome everyone. STEAR is literally for everyone and anyone who wants to change and transform their lives for the better. Who wants to self-discover, as Maria said beautifully, and who wants to, be in that space, in that place and time where you want to recognize your inner gifts that you have to offer this planet. Your voice matters to us, and your wisdom matters to planet Earth, because without it, we wouldn't exist. We're all here to serve a positive purpose for humanity, the animals, the planet. So thank you. We welcome you at STEAR, and we hope to see you there. And thank you so much, everyone, for being here with us along this transformational journey. And Brad, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. And I acknowledge you for your strength, your wisdom, your voice, and for sharing everything that you did. That takes great courage and strength to do that. So I acknowledge, especially publicly online. So thank you, Brad. And thank you so much, Stuart, as well, for sharing your valued wisdom with us too, because your voice matters as well. Thank you. And thank you so much, Maria. It's such a great honor to work with all of you. You're beautiful people. And for me, this is a gift being here with you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you, Paul. One last thing. First, I want to point out, and I did this in the beginning, and I must give my apologies to you, Maria, because I did not realize, or rather, I didn't focus on enough that the three of you were involved in STEAR, and I apologize. I should have emphasized that more in the beginning, and that's my fault because I didn't recognize that or didn't understand that. So
it's okay, Stuart.
It's okay. Are absolutely mind-blowing. Thank you. And I've known you guys for many, many years. Most people wouldn't even know this, but I've known you guys for a long, long time. And you've seen me grow, and I've seen you grow. But I guess really what I'm trying to say is that you guys have been a great inspiration for me, and I can't thank you three enough for giving me the stage and the place for me to grow as well. So people don't understand this and wouldn't even know this, because most of the time, Brad, Paul, and Maria are behind the scene. People don't see what you guys do for everybody else. But I want to point out how much they do for, like they've done for me and for everybody else. Now, I know I'm probably going crazy here in regards to pushing all out there in regards to fluffing up, as I call it, but really, people do not understand how much work these guys have done for everybody else. So this is just another example of the STEAR program of what's coming, where it's going to help you and many others. So I, with the utmost gratitude and appreciation, thank you for coming on here today and talking about the STEAR program. So any last minute thoughts before we wind her down?
Just want to say again, thank you, Stuart, and thank you everyone for listening, and feel free to share this episode with anyone on your social media feed. Who knows, they might need to hear these messages too. Thank you.
Thank you.
So plug your websites in too, right? Brad, last word?
Just thank you all. This program would not have come together without Maria and Paula. It's been an inspiration of mine for a long time, but Maria and Paula are really, and myself are really formulating it into something that can really serve at a broader level, at a great expansive level. So I want to thank them and thank you, Stuart, for all you're doing. You say there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes, and that's true. But inevitably, it's you that made the choice to walk up those steps at the gatehouse. It's you that got beyond your fears to be able to address the world and so many thousands of people the way you do on your broadcast. It's just what we're doing in this program and what we do at the gatehouse. Yes, it's a lot of work. However, it's about just diminishing the interference so that the best part of you can surface. That's really, it's all about you. It's just removing the interference and walking along a path that you could be proud to call your own, and your purpose will naturally unfold on that path. So we look forward to seeing you in the program. And if you can't make it this time, we'll be delivering it again, I'm sure. And we look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you, Brad. So, folks, website, the websites, I should say, or manpsychotherapy.com/services, and then also Brad's stepintothecreative.com. Please check out those websites for more information on this. I want to throw in this as well. I know we're signing off, but we all have the Gatehouse offers an assist program where Brad and Paula are taking care of that. So that information is in there as well. You just go to the Gatehouse website and you will find all this stuff. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, Stuart.
And everybody listening, take care of yourselves. Self-care, always talk about self-care. We're coming into the long weekend, so for Easter, things are really strange these days with COVID and all that stuff. So do what you can to take care of yourselves and have a good week.